Good afternoon. My name is James Hertz, and I am the Human Resources Director here at the City of Springfield. Today, I'm here to present to you our budget plan for the upcoming fiscal year. I will walk you through our budget plan, which includes two separate sections, starting with details regarding our fiscal year 23 achievements, FY24 initiatives, and overall operational challenges, followed by a brief summary of a few slides outlining kind of more of a status check regarding the city's risk management reserve funds. The city's Human Resources Department is currently staffed by 8 FTEs that provide support and business partner leadership for the city in the areas of employee and labor relations, which includes 5 different collective bargaining agreements, classification in our compensation system, citywide benefit program or total rewards, talent acquisition, citywide training initiatives, risk management, leave administration, the administration of our volunteer programs, and then the city's payroll services. So now talking about our FY23 accomplishments, this is really a short list of the items that the HR department has completed thus far this fiscal year. A couple of really just key items that we've accomplished. One of them was, as we were looking ahead at Oregon paid family leave, we took that as an opportunity to really examine our vendor options within our insurance plans, went through an RFP process, and was able to consolidate short and long-term disability plan with an absence management program and the administration of Oregon paid family leave, resulting in a $26,000 a year savings to the city compared to if we stayed with our existing plan choices as well as went with the state plan for Oregon paid family leave. We implemented a deferred compensation vendor change, lowering the administrative fees for our employees, adding a Roth option, really trying to help our employees plan ahead for their future retirement years. Implemented an enterprise risk committee, helped through that committee work through our risk items and experience the lowest claims that we've had in the last 15 years. And we've also expanded the diversity of our workforce, hiring at a rate of about 22% of all external hires being somebody who's self-identified as somebody of color, which indicates to us that we're getting closer to reflecting our community. And not only that, but our community sees us as a place that they want to work. So now looking at our budget summary pages, our budget does reflect a request for a budget increase. The dollars in that request are made up by both a request for an additional FTE to really invest in the citywide training programs and initiatives, as well as support some of the DEI activities that we're wanting to work on. There's also the cost increase for the administration of Oregon paid family leave, the technology investment in software for the areas of training, policies, and performance management, all really connected to our overall risk needs. The ongoing cost increases associated with property and liability insurance. This is a national trend as it relates to property. And lastly, at least we wanted to take just a brief second to really acknowledge the appreciation for the police department and the work that they've done to lower our claims, which are at a 15-year low. So as we look ahead to fiscal year 24, there are 3 core initiatives that the HR is going to spend its focused effort on. One of those is in the implementation of new software technology, primarily in the areas of training and education, employee performance evaluations, and organizational policies and administration. The second area is employee wellness with the implementation of Oregon paid family leave. It becomes really critical that the city has an emphasis and a focus on overall employee wellness, both in the mental health area as well as in the physical health. So we will be focusing an emphasis on promoting annual physical exams, refreshing his websites, and offering wellness opportunities, including training, education, and resources to our employees. And then lastly is our ongoing DEI efforts with regards to our hiring and selection process and making sure that we train our individuals that are making hiring decisions on those things that affect bad decisions and bad outcomes, and typically that's associated with things like implicit bias. So one of the reasons why, as I talked about earlier, that DEI is so critical is we really look at in the past as far as what our turnover rate has been, both in the areas of retirees and voluntary separations. you can see that we've been on, for the most part, an upward trajectory, which is not a good number by any means. There is some hope, however, as you see that the FY22 or calendar year 22 turnover rate did drop over FY21. This is in part connected to the significant number of retirees, and so we're starting to see a reduction in that area, and that's probably the primary driver for that. But also, as we start looking at an uncertain future market, we're starting to see fewer individuals that are looking to separate and go to other organizations. But that does create a number of challenges for the city, and so our efforts in recruiting and retaining are a highlighted area of concern for us. This chart here kind of demonstrates what I call the hiring deficit, and so as we've seen an increase in turnover, our ability to recruit has kind of really hit a peak, and so since FY17, we really have operated in a deficit with regards to the number of separations versus those that we've been able to recruit and bring back into our organization. And so any efforts that we can do to improve the culture, the work experience for our employees, the financial and total benefit rewards is going to be critical for the long-term health and stability of city operations. From a diversity initiative perspective, the city has not reflected the population that we serve. We have been on a slow growth expansion into the diversity of our workforce really since 2017, which is the same period of time that I came here. Although we flatlined a little bit during the pandemic, we have certainly seen an increase in our workforce population. This is just another slide that kind of shows where the workplace diversity of the city is for it says fiscal year 22, but it's really calendar year 22 as tied to the area on the pie chart on the far right, which is really the city of Springfield's estimated populations. So we're not alone. I think government entities as a whole have really struggled to reflect the community that they serve, and that's probably a large part for the fact that underserved parts of our community don't see government work as an opportunity for them. And so our desire of the organization is for talented people to see us as a landing spot or a place of choice. And so this is work that we'll continue to focus on in the areas of both our recruiting strategies, but also our inclusion efforts within the workforce itself. Looking at our risk management reserve fund. So these are critical reserve funds that we maintain. They have a significant impact on internal charges and city's budgetary costs. So there's roughly 3 or 4 reserve funds that we manage, and I'm just going to quickly walk you through all of those slides. So the first one is our self-reserve or our self-funded medical reserve plan. We have a self-funded insurance plan that is maintained also with an on-site clinic. We have a high deductible plan. We have a plan that has been relatively stable and has not experienced a rate increase either to its employees or to the city as a whole for the last 10 years, even though we've had additional increases in our administrative fees year after year. But by and large, I'm not aware of any other organization or business that's been able to maintain flat rates for a 10-year period. This chart kind of shows you the expenditures versus reserves. We always budget conservatively so that we are within the legal limit, but we have a reserve fund that has been very stable and has actually realized some growth over the last 2 years. We are actually trying to drive those funds down, and so we've been doing things like what we call benefit holidays, where we don't charge the departments nor the employees for a 1-month period for the cost of insurance as a strategy to lower the reserve funds. But on top of that, it's been helpful for us in creating a PERS side account to help us absorb some of the future PERS cost increases that we're anticipating and will realize at some point. So very good plan. It's a very unusual plan, but it's been very successful to the city. Property and liability insurance. This is an area where we are intentionally trying to build our reserve funds. We have a very high claims deductible, so we're responsible for the first $500,000 per claims for our police and jail. and then the first $100,000 for all claims under the general ledger. This is critical that we build a good reserve fund, and it's a challenge, but it's also in some ways helpful to the organization because we also are realizing very low premium costs. And so as long as we are successful in our risk management strategies, we will actually realize a budgetary savings for the city while building a reserve plan, hopefully healthy enough to really help us through any of those unusual circumstances that come up where we're out of pocket on a claim experience. But I think on the positive side, we are doing the right things and really minimizing our exposures and our costs. So the final reserve account that I'm going to talk about is the workers' compensation plan. The primary point on this slide is that the city has transitioned away from the CIS plan, which was a consortium plan with other government entities, to the SAFE plan, which is a guaranteed cost plan. And it will take about 3 to 4 years for our existing claims experience to close out the liability need. We'll need to maintain some amount of reserves, but at a significantly lower dollar amount than what we've done in the past. So we are intentionally trying to lower this. You'll see that the budgeted revenue was budgeted at a decrease, and that really just kind of reflects the future need as well as the existing claims that we have that are still within the CIS program. But the good news is that the overall cost for the city has decreased by about $200,000 or $300,000 a year as a result of the transition away from the CIS plan to the cost guarantee plan within SAFE. So the HR department's fiscal or future considerations looking ahead at FY25 and 27 stay consistently the same that they have for the last couple of years. The long-term strategies will stay within the areas of benefit control costs, turnover and recruitment, as well as property and liability insurance costs, which really probably should almost be the number one item at this point. And then last two, which is really the technology support and then the development of employees within the organization. These are things that we're putting the foundational pieces together today, or they've been in existence for some period of time, but will continue to be a point of emphasis for the Human Resources Department. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time.